Romans 12:2 talks about being transformed by the renewing of your mind. It's vitally important that we get into study of God's word and not just memorize it or not even just be able to quote it, but really when we hear it, ask God to give you the understanding so that we can use it and so we understand it in its proper context so we can apply it when things come up in our life that try to go against what we know God is working in us. I'm going to close here, but I want to share some of my testimony with you. When it's been a while now. When I graduated high school, I graduated in '94, and I went to college. That was a time in my life where God was really drawing me in. I got a glimpse of enough to want to make the right decisions concerning my destiny. What I did 15 years ago or didn't do 15 years ago has quite a bit and almost everything to do with where I am today. I was a basketball player. I made my plans on what I was going to do. I had offers to play junior college basketball in Alabama and a few places. But God had something different in mind for me. It wasn't a bad plan, but it wasn't the best plan. It was something else that God had for me to do. And God allowed me to get in a position where I quit the basketball team where I was at. I was at the University of West Florida in Pensacola. And it became a chore for me to play basketball, something that I loved to do, something I had planned to do as a profession. But I knew deep down in my heart that I can do this, but there's something else I got to do, but I don't know what it is. And the reason I didn't know what it is, I failed to ask this question. God, what would you have me to do? Simple question. What would you have for me to do? The next most important thing is if you get the answer, start doing it. I got in a position where I said, God, would you get me out of this basketball? I was starting to hate it. The practices was making me tired. I was mentally worn out. It wasn't gelling with where my life was supposed to go. God released me from that. I was able to kind of walk away with nobody even really noticing. I thought my family was going to be disappointed. I thought my friends were going to wonder what I was doing. But I was so free when I did that. But what I did next was stupid. I squandered the first 2 years of my college career by just being indifferent. I didn't do anything. I did just enough to get by. I found a way to procrastinate. I found a way to just do enough to stay in school. And it was that type of thinking, because of my unrenewed mind, that allowed me to get in a position where I was about to fail out of school. I know what it's like to be in a position, and there's worse positions to be in life than to fail out of school. But for me, it was a big deal because I had so many people that were looking up to me. And I already had a certain platform of influence and expectation. And I had the ability to do well in school. But because I didn't know why I was here, school was even a chore to me because I was just there. And it looked like everybody else knew what they wanted to do and knew why they were here. I didn't fit in socially. I wasn't a partier. I wasn't a drinker. Had nothing to do with Bible knowledge. I just wasn't that kind of a person. I had morals and all of that good stuff, but I didn't know Christ intimately enough for it to make the difference in my life, to give me the joy and the happiness that I need to know that I was actually fulfilling something that was worthwhile. So what I did, I was on academic probation after 2 years. I got that letter in the mail, and I said to myself, I cannot let anybody find out that I'm about to fail out of school. Not me, because they already thought I was, oh, you quit basketball, so you concentrate on grades. That's what I told everybody. I quit basketball so I can concentrate on my studies. The only thing I did every day, I got up, did just enough work. I put those earphones on. I listened to music all day long because I love rap. I love music. I dissect instrumentals and beats and wrote rhymes, and that's all I did. But the purpose of God and the destiny of God to be a writer was in me. And I was looking for an outlet for it, but I looked for it in the wrong places. And I was preparing even to get into rap and start doing CDs and use my talent to do something that had nothing to do with glorifying God. And I didn't know, but God allowed me by his mercy to ask the question, what would you have me to do? And I went through that degree catalog. I said, God, I'll do whatever you want me to do. And I thought that I was asking God what to major in. I was an accounting major, but I picked that just as something to put down on paper. My whole mind was basketball. I said, God, what do you want me to major in? He said, English. I said, English? Now imagine somebody going through the first 2 years of school, and they probably saw 1A the whole time they was there. All of the basic classes were behind me now. So basically for me to stay in school and graduate with anything resembling decent grades, I had to make straight A's for the rest of college, really, in English. And I said, God, I tried to major in health, leisure, and sports. I tried the easiest major I could find. And God says, that type of thinking that got you in this mess. So I looked myself in the mirror and I said, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and be that Christian boy that people think I am. I wasn't really him. I just looked like him. I was mannerable. I had morals. I was a virgin. I did all those things. But see, God knows how to pick you out when you don't stand out as a sinner. I was just a sinner, that's all. God was just dealing with me, showing me stuff, and I act like I didn't know. I get on the basketball court, I cuss like everybody else. I had CDs just like everybody else. God was dealing with me while I be driving down the road. I'd be listening to whatever. Just have it blast. Then I get to the red light, I'm ashamed, I turn it down. The conviction was just working me. And God was blessing me. He was doing things for me. I said, God, I can't keep treating you like this. I got to the red light, I was in. God said, if you got to turn down the music at the red light, and if you got to make up different words everywhere that they cuss, why are you listening to those CDs? I said, I don't know. That was a byproduct of not being in the will of God as far as the big picture is concerned. I didn't weed out anything because it was too much compromise here and there. So I had a here and there life. My life was good in other areas. It was terrible in school. But I said, I got to get a hold on this thing where my life has God in every area. And when I started to make a checklist to me, and I went through that list, God started to manifest and overtake the weaknesses I had in every single area of my life. I used to be so shy. I was girl shy. I was so shy at one point that I could not talk around women. I couldn't talk. It was like being in a prison. It's funny now. At the time, it was like prison to me. But God even used that to keep me out of some things. He knew what he was doing. It's his purpose. See, he knew that he needed me to talk about sexual purity tonight, so I just let him be shy a little bit longer so he don't get in trouble while he's in school surrounded by all these women. Because people get in college and they just kind of do their own thing. But God secluded me during my college years. I don't even know what college life is all about, so to speak. So when God released me from that, I started to assess me in every area. I said, what am I really here to do? And I got in those classes, and I started making straight A's. And I looked around, and I saw people I knew some of them were geniuses. And I said, I'm just in this class because God told me to come in here. And but when I started getting my papers back, 100 on English papers. Now, English is a little different it's not the hardest major to be in, but it's subjective enough to where if somebody just don't like the paper, they could mark the grade lower. It's not like math, like you got the problem wrong, this is wrong. Your writing style could be the problem. How you said it could be the problem. It was so wide open. I said, the only way I'm going to pass these classes, God, you got to help me on every paper. And I was lazy, so I didn't want to trust God for all of that stuff. It's too much work to do. Trusting God in every area, but he had to teach me. You got to trust me in every single thing, because how would you know how to do my purpose? I got to tell you how to do it. I said, okay, I got enough sense to be dumb enough to let God tell me exactly what to do, if that makes any sense. And as I started to do that, do you know that God not only let me learn how to do stuff in the classroom, the business that I have today, God taught me how to do it after I got out of school. Everything that I learned on the computer, I sit down at the computer and I say, God, what do you want to do with this? And before I finish, he worked through my hands. God will just bless your hands. I don't have a science. I don't have a formula to it. I don't even have, I know what to do when somebody comes to me and wants work done. But the first thing I do, I say, God, what do you want me to do with this? You show me how you want to design this. You show me how you want me to publish this. God does it every single time. And I rely on him continually. See, I don't just revert back to 15 years ago when God did all these things for me and changed things around. I keep the things that worked then in my life active right now because I got a life to maintain. God wants to preserve the quality of the life of purpose that he's called you to. So I just want to encourage you tonight to, again, avail yourself to God. Allow God to manifest in you to the maximum. Look for things in your life to get rid of that might be a hindrance to God working in it. I like to use that example about those CDs because a lot of times if I'm talking to somebody about music, they'll say, well, what's wrong with this CD? I listen to this person, I listen to that one. I said, look, there's really nothing right or wrong with it. I said, this is what you have to ask yourself. Again, how is that related to or conducive to me moving forth in this thing that God has showed me concerning my life? Some things that I got rid of didn't have any negative effects on me. Some music didn't have a message in it that made me want to do something sinful. I just got rid of it because I wanted my slate to